Okay, I'm here with Shane Droddy from the 1989 PNG Indians football team. We're going to break down his kick return against Lamar Consolidated. And the kick return helps in the Indians to the quarterfinals. The quarterfinal matchup with A&M Consolidated was a very important play, and I want to let Shane lead you up to the play, and then we're going to let him break it down for us.
Yeah, so the game, it had been really a defensive struggle the whole first half, both teams. There wasn't a lot of scoring, a lot of 3 and outs, a lot of punts type of thing, and it was just kind of a stale game. Like I said, defensive struggle. So Brian Boast was usually the kick returner opposite of Ron Shatanya, McGill, and for some reason, I'm not sure, I think Brian had a strain or something, but they told me coming out of the tunnel after halftime, hey, you're going into kickoff return. And I had returned a couple throughout the year, so it wasn't out of the ordinary, but that's what led me into being here. And we'll just, if you want to, we'll just look at it. So, you know, our crowd was pretty great during the game. Everybody was excited. It was the first game back to the Astrodome in the decade, so it was a big deal. You know, the Dome was our second home, and it was a big deal. So I think we had set a record that year for fan attendance. We had more people on our side than the Houston Oilers had at a home game. So it was a real good turnout. I can't remember exactly. I think it was 38,000, but you know, the atmosphere was good. But here we go. So right here, I knew the ball was coming, but there's a few key blocks in this play. One right here, if you notice right here, Thad Gordon had run up through the middle. It was a middle return kick. Thad Gordon had run up through the middle, cleared, didn't see anybody. He turned to his right, and he got a chip on this guy, just enough to knock the guy off balance. And if it wasn't for that, that guy probably would have made the tackle right there. Another big block in it. And I appreciate it, Ron, but Ron McGill absolutely got hammered right here. If you see, there was a guy coming off my backside, and Ron seen him and stepped in front of it and just took it, but it just knocked Ron completely on his back, in the air, off his feet. But the biggest block to me of the whole thing is, I remember right here, you know, I'm kind of just looking, trying to see, there's not much there, and so I'm still not running wide open, but I come up through the middle, and I believe it was Jeremy Sturgis, one of our linemen. There's really nothing there, and Jeremy comes flying across from my right to the left, and I remember I held up and just put my hand on him and rode him through, and as he cleared, he took out a tackler, and the field, all I saw was open green. So, you can see it right there. I just came through, and you know, we were off to the races. This guy here that tackled me, his name was Clarence McCullough. He was just dropped back as a safety. He did a good job on the kickoff of staying back and letting it come to him. But you know, I tried to put a move on him and go to the left. The guy was their starting running back, and he played running back for Baylor as a freshman his next year. He was a great athlete, but caught me down there on about the 14-yard line. You know, it was super exciting. The crowd just went crazy. One thing I noticed as I got up was that I could feel the noise bouncing off of me. And I'll never forget, I kind of looked up into the crowd, and I was trying to catch my breath a little bit, but I remember the hair on the back of my neck stood up. It was just, you know, it definitely give the crowd some energy, and I think that energized the team. I knew for a fact at that point I was close enough to the goal line where I knew Ron would score. There's just no way you were ever going to hold that guy, you know, to less than 14 yards on a drive. So that put us ahead, and then it really, the whole game, it just stayed really a defensive game, and we were able to play good defense and keep Clarence McCullough, you know, to minimal yards.
Do you remember what the score was after that?
I believe after, when we went ahead, I think it took us 2 plays and Ron punched it in the end zone. I want to say that turned the score 10-7 or 10-3. I think later in the game, I don't remember the actual final score of the game, but I know Wagaspack hit a really long field goal. It was 50 plus yards. That guy was an All-American, of course, but we just played a good defensive game after that and was able to hold them off. But it was a big point in my high school football playing days, and I was just glad to get that opportunity. So.
Okay, I have a couple questions for you. What was it like to be the first Indian team to be considered a powerhouse in close to a decade?
That was special. Port Neches-Groves, the Indians, they've always had such a rich tradition, and coming through the 70s, they were a national powerhouse on many of them teams. Just good teams. Winning was a habit, and as we came through the 80s, we didn't do so great. A lot of 500 teams, a lot of no playoff type things. And it's been a whole decade since we had a winning team. The year before, our junior year, we went 1-9. And I think we were ranked when this season started. I want to say we were only a few teams from being ranked dead last in the state in our division. And but as junior high football players, and as we came up, I'm not sure we lost one or two games. We knew we were a good team, so we had hope as we were seniors that we could put it together. And so it was special being able to kind of ignite a fire again around PNG football and get the community something to be excited about and kind of bring back the tradition of winning. It was good.
Okay, Coach Malone was a very successful coach at PNG. He was only there a short time, sort of an anomaly, and only a couple of teams got to know what it was like to know Coach Malone and play for Coach Malone. Could you share a little bit about Coach Malone, what he was like, and what it was like to play with him?
Yes, absolutely. I think Coach Malone, because he was new and he was from outside of the area, I think people really misunderstood him. He was really good to us as players. He supported us and had our backs, and we knew it. He was a good man. He encouraged us to attend church, things like that. Before every game, we would have a little church service in the old building there by the lunchroom. But anyway, he was a good person. He was a good coach. He was a motivator. He made us believe in ourselves. He took a position, like I said, we came off 1-9, but we went into that season and he coached a lot of. He was very physical coach, and he allowed us to be physical to each other. But we did have a lot of physical practices and physical things we did. But at the end of it and before it, he would always say, "Hey, when this is over, you're a team. You're a team." And so he made us tough, brought the fight out in us, and he had us believing in ourselves. And so he was a good coach. Good offensive mind. The people he brought with him to the area, like Coach Cromit and Coach Fisher. You couldn't ask for better motivational coaches. They knew the game. They were students of the game, and they were all very motivating and all bought in on us, and we picked up off of that, and we bought in on ourselves. So it was nice to play for them guys.
And I have one last question for you. The 1989 team, let's say in PNG lore or history, one thing it's known for is the depth of the playoff run you guys had all the way to the quarterfinals. First time since 77, I believe, that had happened.
Yeah.
But the other thing that your team was known for was having some really good football players who have pretty much littered the record books of PNG history there. Can you talk a little bit about maybe a couple of the players off that team, other than yourself, that was the really good football players?
Yeah, it's right. We had a lot of talent on that team. We were a very aggressive team. We played with a lot of passion, but the star of the team, we had a lot of guys that were really good, but Ron McGill, Ron Shatanya, you know, I believe he's probably the best running back PNG's ever had. You know, we played in a different system than we do these days, but he was phenomenal. He was super fast, super explosive, super tough, had a big heart, and he was just an incredible running back. He went on to play at Stephen F. Austin. You know, I really believe Ron probably could have made it to the NFL if he would have stuck with it, but you know, he decided to have a family and get started on a family and a career. But he was a great football player. Brian Boast was incredible, played on both sides of the ball, lots of speed, very smart player. Was one of our main receivers that year with a lot of big plays. Also played free safety. Was always in the right place at the right time. He was a phenomenal athlete, and I think it shows through his kids too. He's got some kids that are phenomenal athletes and following in his footsteps. But he was good. David Satcher went on to play college ball. Mark Benaja had opportunities. David Whitehead was an incredible. He was a junior that year. Incredible defensive lineman. Keith Wagaspack. That guy may be the greatest kicker to ever play high school football. I don't know. It was nothing for him to kick 50-plus yard field goals. I believe we seen before a game one time he kicked a 63-yard field goal. I don't know how many points the guy scored for us that year, but he was a huge factor because it shortened the field so much. We knew, man, if we could get it across the 50-yard line, it's going to be points. You know, so he was incredible, All-American, went on to play at A&M. And I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot of people. Scott Lawson was a heart and soul of the team. Strong guy, hard-nosed, very motivating, great guy to have on the field beside you. You know, Ryan Robertson was a smart quarterback, always seemed to make the play and put the ball where he needed to. He went on to have a professional baseball career. Steve Gizzy was undersized, he was quick, had great hands. You know, if you put it anywhere near the guy, it was going to be caught. You know, so all of our linemen were real good. We had Bill Loesch, went on to play college football, and you know, he's passed away, but I remember calling him Big Bill. Bill was a big guy, and he was strong, and he had a huge heart. He had a huge heart, and still miss that guy. But you know, it definitely ended a drought for a long time. We hadn't really had any football players come out and be able to play at the college level, and I'm sure I'm missing more, but we had several guys that could go on and do it at the next level, and it was a special team. So.
All right, Droddy. Well, thank you for breaking this play down for us and sharing a little history about the '89 football team, especially about Coach Malone. Like I said, there's only a couple of teams in the PNG spectrum that got to play for that guy. Apparently, he was a special coach. He went on and won a state championship in Nebraska, I believe,
Sure did.
after he left PNG. So he's had some great coaching talent. And like I said, only a few guys got to play for him. So, but once again, Shane, thank you for taking the time to do this for us, and maybe we'll talk to you again in the future.
That's it. Scalp 'em.